Today we are going to be learning about the digital camcorder industry. I'm going to be giving you guys a crash course on this particular industry, along with my recommendations for targeting it in terms of the different sub-niches that you can work out. And then I'm going to be discussing a couple of my favorite products from this particular niche with you as well. Now, there is some additional training material that goes along with this niche training. You're going to find a PDF document and an Excel spreadsheet that include additional information for you that you can use for future reference. And a lot of this stuff is going to include some various products within this niche to help you to save some time on researching some good products to promote. So with that said, I want to get into a little bit about this particular industry. Now, if you're 30 years old or over, you've seen the camcorder niche go through a lot of different changes over the last 20 years or so. We used to have those huge, bulky VHS camcorders, and then they got smaller with the mini DV, and now basically everything has gone to flash memory. There are some exceptions to that. You do have some specialty types of camcorders. Mini DV is still hanging around. Some camcorders will record straight to DVD, for example, but the vast majority of them are flash memory. And if you don't know what flash memory is, we're talking about those little memory cards, the little SD memory cards. And they even have mini SD memory cards that some of them utilize. So with these digital camcorders, which is what I'm covering in this particular training class, you basically have three different types. You have your full-size camcorders. These are typically all handheld for the most part, and they offer a flip-out screen, something like what you see up at the top here in this first picture. Then we also have action cams. These typically lack an LCD. They're intended for hands-free operation, usually for use with sports and other types of activities, or you want to have a camera mounted, but you can't really be holding it because you're doing something else and you want to be recording that activity. Now you also have pocket camcorders. These have a lot less availability in general over the other two types. They're basically the same thing as a full-size camcorder, except they're a lot smaller and lighter in most regards, and they will typically be small enough to simply fit into your pocket. So they're very portable is the main benefit of them. Now I also want to talk to you about some of my recommendations for targeting this particular niche. Within any of these three types of digital camcorders that I was just discussing, you could easily find a way to narrow down that targeting to something with a lot more focus. Those general types, if you simply try to build a website that is all about action cameras, for example, you're going to find that there is a lot of search competition. They're popular products. They're high dollar value products. So naturally, you're going to have a lot of people trying to pursue referring sales on those products. So you want to actually avoid trying to go after those general product types. What you want to do instead is to try to narrow your focus down towards a specific use or an activity centered around the usage of that particular type of digital camera. Doing this, you're going to create much more useful websites, and you're going to get to avoid a large part of the search competition because you're not going to be going after a topic like digital camcorders or action digital camcorders, you're going to be going after terms that relate to specific uses of that. One good example of this is skydiving. You can see this guy right here. He's skydiving. He's got a helmet on, and he's got a GoPro camera up on the top of it. Think about all the topics that relate to skydiving and wanting to shoot video recordings of your activities. Those are the types of topics that you would go after instead. Something much, much more focused. That way you have a very specific type of person with very particular interest that is going to end up coming upon your website. You can provide the information that they're looking for, and when you get really specific like this, you make them much more confident with the products you are trying to promote to them, because they will feel like you actually know what they need for that particular situation. Because all these different sports and activities and stuff that people want a digital camcorder for, you might want something different for different situations and scenarios. Now also consider narrowing your niche down even more beyond just a particular type and a particular way of using it, but also think about things like the skill level. You have amateur skydivers and professional skydivers. Think about things like your budget requirements. You have people that are looking to do it and not wanting to spend a lot of money, and then you have your more professional people who might be looking to maybe produce YouTube videos or something like that, and maybe they have higher budget availability. Also think about things like the video output. You can try to specifically target people that are looking for video that will output in a particular way, like full HD video, 1080p, or the new Ultra HD, which is Quad HD, 4x. Typically, with your newer advances in technology, the things like the Ultra HD right now, those newer advances in technology are the things that people will most actively be searching for in terms of the video output there and how it relates to trying to find a product to buy. People want to upgrade to the newest, best things that are out there, and they look for information relating to that and specifically relating to whatever they're doing. If they're going scuba diving, for example, they might not just want an Ultra HD camcorder, but they need something that would also be waterproof in that particular situation. So go after these very highly defined needs and interests and use that to draw your website traffic in and convert that traffic into sales. Now you can also target other things like special camcorder features. There are certain people that are looking to do things like slow motion, and they need a camcorder that would have that very specific feature on it and be able to do it extremely well to whatever standards they're trying to produce. So all of these different things, you don't necessarily have to go after something from everything in this list. But if you are taking a type of digital camcorder and a usage for that digital camcorder, and then even narrowing it down one way or another with something off of this list here at the bottom, then you will most likely be getting yourself to a highly focused niche that you can actually cover in a reasonable number of pages on your website, and you will be able to get search traffic for that niche much, much easier. So now I want to talk to you guys about activity targeting relating to the digital camcorder niche. I had already talked to you about the types of digital camcorders, and I've already talked to you about some different ways that you can narrow down the focus of a niche. But one of the other things that I mentioned before and never really went into in detail was the activity targeting. Targeting based on a use of a digital camcorder. So that's what I want to be covering with you here. And actually for a number of slides here, I'm going to be covering different general and more specific types of activities that you can potentially target with a website to be able to refer sales on these digital cameras. So number one, we have action sports. You have a lot of different action sports, and these lists that I'm providing here, they're not necessarily complete lists of these different categories that I'm going to be discussing. So if you can think of something that is of interest to you that is not listed here, by all means pursue that particular type of activity. But I wanted to give you some good examples to kind of help get your brain firing on the right cylinders here so you can understand what it is that I am going after. So some of these action sports, things like skydiving, skateboarding, snow skiing, rollerblading, hang gliding, bicycle or motorbike riding, and pretty much anything else that might be covered in the X Games, for example, or maybe even anything covered as an Olympic sport. All of these are going to be excellent action sports that you can target that have the need for these types of digital camcorders. They use them for a variety of different purposes. Now, your most common type that people are going to use is going to be obviously your action cam, something that people can mount to either part of their equipment that they're using or maybe to their own person, strapping it around their chest or mounting it to their helmet. That way they can get a first-person perspective of what it is that they are doing. A lot of times people are using this for things like creating their own YouTube videos, creating tutorial videos of various natures, and even for training purposes, just so they can record what they're doing and then go back home later and watch back over it so they can perhaps learn from their mistakes. The GoPro Hero is an excellent example of the type of action cam that you would want to be using for action sports like these. It's definitely the most versatile. Now, they typically come with a waterproof housing that's not really necessary for most of these sports. Maybe for snow skiing it could be useful, but for the rest of these, you're really not going to come into contact with moisture in most cases. So you wouldn't need that feature, but despite that, the GoPro Hero is still most often picked for this particular purpose because it produces excellent video quality and it has a ton of other features that people are often looking for. You can do things like monitor the video feed through Wi-Fi, so your trainer can actually be seeing what you're seeing, and you can actually communicate with them if you have some kind of radio device. Now I want to continue on to talk about water action sports. You have things like surfing, scuba diving, water skiing, snorkeling, fishing, cliff diving, kayaking, and honestly a ton of other water-based activities. All of this type of stuff is also really popular for use with these action cams like the GoPro Hero. And the GoPro Hero, the Hero 3 especially, is especially ideal here because of the waterproof housing. It's actually rated to be used down to 131 feet deep in the water, and it will remain waterproof. Now you have other models or different housing models that can actually even go deeper than that, up to 197 feet deep. So GoPro Hero is easily the best potential candidate for people that are interested in this. Now, also consider whatever you think might be the best product for a particular situation. Sometimes it can be good to review a lesser choice, to give people that decision for themselves so they can see, if they're willing to spend $100, they're going to get this. If they're willing to spend $300 or $400 for the GoPro Hero, then, they're able to get this as a result. And let people make that decision for themselves. While the best product may seem like the best choice for most people, not everybody is looking for the best. Sometimes they're just wanting something that works, and they're not looking to spend a fortune for it. So give them that choice. Research some other potential candidates that you can be promoting in terms of products. Also research some of the accessories that would go along with some of these activities. You're going to have things like different types of mounts or straps or different accessories like that people are going to need for particular activities that go along with these action cams. And helping to promote those extra accessories can not only raise your total commissions in terms of what you're going to earn off of referring those sales to Amazon, but you're also going to help to connect that product in people's minds better in terms of, hey, this product can actually do what it is that I want it to do, as long as I purchase it with this particular accessory to make it do that. So by helping it to click in people's heads like that, you give them confidence to go through with their purchase much easier than they would otherwise. Now you also have traditional sports, things like baseball, basketball, football, soccer, hockey, golf, and honestly there's even more beyond that. These are probably just your more popular ones within the USA at least. You can still use the action cams for these activities. They may not be as commonly used for personal mounts in terms of getting that first-person perspective, but they can still be used for that purpose. Pretty much anybody can wear, if you can see in this picture here, this chest strap, and it actually has a GoPro camera mounted on right there. Pretty much any type of sport, somebody that's doing it can wear one of these straps and mounts to go along with the camera and utilize these action cams. They can also be used as a stationary camera to go along with these sports. This is easily proven because there are major corporations utilizing this type of technology. You have live NFL games that will put GoPro cameras on the end zone pylons, and they'll use that to supplement their footage in the game to give a different perspective of a shot that ordinarily would be hard to achieve with a cameraman sitting there holding the camera. They'll also do things like putting them in a baseball dugout for interviews. They'll just attach it to the wall and people can just kind of give their commentary as they feel like it. They can be mounted on goals for soccer and hockey. They can be mounted on the hole flags for golf. They can be mounted on the backboards for basketball. Now, in addition to these action cam uses, you could still have a use for a full-size video camera, more in a training type of scenario perhaps, where maybe the coach would be holding a camera to give a normal perspective of the game being played, and perhaps he would use a couple of action cams along with it to get a couple of special shots, and then he could use that to review back over all of the footage to help with training all of the players. Now, for the average everyday person that doesn't participate in any kind of action sport, or even any kind of sport period, where they might want to utilize a camera for creating YouTube videos, or for their own personal purposes, or even for training purposes, there is still a need for digital cameras for the average everyday person. What I'm really referring to here is your everyday life experiences. You likely own a digital camcorder of some sort because you want to record the memorable moments in your life. Things like birthdays, weddings, proposals, parties, reunions, other special occasions like anniversaries, or just everyday things like your kid doing something cute, or their first steps, or their first day at school. You know, you have all of these different momentous life occasions and life experiences, and people want to record them so they can remember them. The best type of digital camcorder for this general type of usage is going to be your full-size camcorder. Things like the Samsung F90, the Sony HDR CS240B, or the Canon Vixia HF R500. These are priced mostly between the $100 and $300 range and still produce HD quality video. They're handheld digital camcorders with the little LCD screen on them, so people can actually see what they are recording at the time. This is going to be what your normal average everyday person would be interested in purchasing, but you still need to make sure that you narrow down your niche focus, because this is going to be your largest population potentially, because everybody has birthdays and weddings and things of that nature, and they want to record them. So in order to actually narrow your niche down to avoid all that search competition, you're going to need to get really, really specific with what you're trying to target for those different life experiences. But ultimately, that kind of stuff does exist, and it's a major, major market if you can narrow your focus down enough to be able to target it. Now I also want to talk about extreme video. Things like aerial video drones, helicopters, airplanes, quadcopters, things of that nature. Attaching action cams to things like airplane wheels or wings. Mounting them on a car to like the hood or under a car or to the door. You can also mount it to pretty much any other type of vehicle or aircraft. We're thinking in terms of abnormal perspectives here, shots that would normally be pretty hard to achieve using a handheld camcorder. These are typically going to be done with action cams exclusively. Things like the GoPro Hero 3 are great for most of these situations, but you do have some specialty products that exist for particular needs. For example, there are some aerial drones, quadcopters for example, that maybe are smaller and they can't handle the whole weight of a GoPro device, and they might be designed for something different. So there are going to be different situations like that. However, the GoPro Hero 3, once again, is a very versatile product and fits with a lot of these uses. Now, the final type of activity that I want to discuss with you here is professional production. You have things like TV reality series. TV channels like the History Channel, Food Channel, Discovery Channel, they commonly produce these different types of reality shows, and they use tons of these GoPro Hero 3 cameras. They mount them to all these different places that are going to give them tons of different perspectives and shots on what they are doing. And then they will go back in and edit all this footage together to create a show, and they can do this with a lot less cameramen than ordinarily would be needed. And some of these shots might not even be possible to get with a cameraman. If you've ever watched any of these shows like Gold Rush, for example, and they're toting in these big bulldozers and stuff, and you see these shots of them rolling in, and you're getting like a side perspective or an underneath perspective or a perspective from the digging shovel or something like that, all those shots are achieved with GoPros. Now, you're going to have a pretty hard time going after these actual companies. If you actually wanted to try to be the middleman for somebody buying cameras for a TV show, your chances are not going to be very good. However, if you want to target this type of activity, think about your aspiring amateurs that want to produce similar types of video, maybe for YouTube, and go after the topics and products that they would be interested in. Relate it back to those professional shows that are done, but do it in a way that an amateur can wrap his head around it and actually try to put it into action. Once again, the GoPro Hero 3 is awesome for these situations. If you're looking for a professional full-size digital camcorder though, something like the Canon Vixia HF G30 or the G20 is a really great choice. Now, you may not realize it, but a lot of reality series on TV, they actually use these. This is what you could kind of see in the basketball picture that I was showing you earlier, where you're wearing a chest strap and it has the GoPro mounted to it, so you get a first-person perspective of whatever is going on. These are really, really common for use in this type of a situation. So look at all these different activities that I've discussed with you and try to pick one of them, something really, really specific about one of these activities. Use that as your primary niche focus for your website. And all of these digital camera products are things that you're going to be able to promote alongside of that relevant information. Just be sure that you narrow your focus down enough to avoid all of that search engine competition. The more focused you get, while you will have access to less overall traffic, it is much more possible to get that traffic. Personally, I would rather have a website attracting a smaller number of people a day than having the potential for more but never really achieving it. So you have to kind of find what that good balance is to really start getting this whole concept of narrowing your niche focus down understood. Now, one of the final things I want to discuss with you is actually a few specific products that you can promote. Now, as I mentioned early on in this video, there are a couple of different training materials that go along with this class. You have an Excel spreadsheet that gives you different product research information. And then there's also a PDF file that includes more product research information, things like a selection of products from a number of different brands that are in the digital camcorder market. Beyond that information, though, I wanted to discuss a couple of my favorites with you. But don't think of these couple of products I'm showing you here in this video as the only ones that you should be going after. Go and take a look at the Excel spreadsheet and go and take a look at that PDF file and explore some of those other products to see what else will fit with whatever type of website you're trying to build. So with that said, I want to talk about the GoPro Hero 3 Plus for just a minute. Not only is this the best-selling action camera on the market because of the high-quality video that it produces and the flexibility with features like the awesome waterproof housing, but you can even view and control the settings on these via Wi-Fi. So they're excellent for things like remote viewing and aerial video drones and things of that nature, where people are looking to do first-person perspective live video feeds. Now, one of the most confusing things about the GoPro Hero is that you have different models, and at a first glance you may not be able to tell the difference between them, but there definitely is a difference besides just the price. The top of the line model is called the Black Edition. This top-selling product, while it's also the most packed in features, it is the most popular of all the GoPro Hero 3 camera models. Simply because people that are doing this type of stuff, that want this particular type of camera, they're looking for high quality video. And the Black Edition especially does something really special that all of the other ones will simply not do. It will record the new Ultra HD video. It's technically called 4K P15 video quality. It is also the smallest and the lightest of all the different GoPro Hero models and includes waterproof housing for use up to 131 feet deep. Now, for $100 cheaper, you can drop down to the Silver Edition. What you're sacrificing here, besides some of the other minor little features, is the video quality and the camera quality. You're not going to be able to do the Ultra HD anymore. You're actually only going to be able to do full HD 1080p video, which in itself is not too bad. But when you're spending $300 on a Silver Edition camera and you can get the Ultra HD for only $100 more, most people end up ponying up the extra $100 for the Black Edition. As a result, the Silver Edition is actually the bottom seller of all three of these. Now, the camera itself is reduced from 12 megapixels on the Black Edition down to a 10 megapixel on the Silver. So then for another $100 cheaper, you get even less features and you drop your camera down from 10 megapixels to a 5 megapixel camera. However, there are some appealing things about this White Edition that makes it a better seller than the Silver. It has a waterproof housing on it that's different from the others. It is rated to 197 feet. So this is commonly used for people that are simply interested in standard Full HD 1080p video and want to use it for underwater purposes, surveying underwater areas, doing things like scuba diving and snorkeling and free diving and things of that nature. This tends to be a popular product for that purpose. So think about what it is that you're going after in terms of the activities and what kind of needs the people are going to have, and relate that to a particular GoPro Hero 3 Plus model. If they want awesome video, it's going to be the Black Edition. If they are interested in going really deep underwater, it's going to be the white edition. However, you could get the black edition and simply try to sell them a different waterproof housing for it that would be rated to this deeper depth. Now the next product I want to talk about is the Polaroid Cube. This thing's pretty cool, and as of right now, this is actually not released on the market yet. It's new to the market on October the 1st of this year, 2014. What this thing does is it is your normal action cam. It records up to 1080p video, so that's really nothing special. But what makes this thing so special is the size. It's only 1.4 inches cubed by height, depth, width, and then it's only 1.66 ounces in weight. So this thing's really tall, or really tiny, and it's really lightweight. It has a built-in rechargeable battery, so it can record 90 minutes on a single charge, and you have a magnet on the bottom here. So you just stick it to something that's metal, and it's pretty strong. It can hold on to a car driving 35 miles per hour if you strap it onto the hood, for example. It's also water resistant, and they make accessories for this thing. A bunch of different ones, actually, different kinds of mounts and waterproof housings and things, so it can be used for things like underwater diving. This is going to be great for your budget person that wants something that simply records a good quality picture. This thing does a 124-degree wide-angle lens, but they also want it on a budget. Now, even though this isn't out yet, this is something that's going to be new to the market, and it's already pre-selling like hotcakes, so this is almost assured to be a strong contender in the future market. Now the next product I wanted to talk about is the DJI Phantom 2 quadcopter. There's actually a number of different models available for this thing, so do your homework and make sure you're recommending the correct setup to your visitors depending on their intended usage, their budget, and their skill level as well. Some of the models are specifically designed for the GoPro Hero, and most of them the GoPro is sold separately. So you would want to be promoting the quadcopter along with the actual GoPro camera to go with it. The ones that are made for the GoPro Hero, as you can see here, they have this camera mount already attached to it, and it has a 3-axis gimbal. What this means is that you can actually not only control the quadcopter itself, but you can also control the camera. I'm talking about the direction. 3-axis means that you can rotate the camera around and you can change its direction. You can point it up and down, and you get 3 different directional changes there available to you. So you can not only make the quadcopter go where you want, but then you can move the camera around when you get to your desired location. This thing takes some really cool shots, and they make for popular YouTube videos. Now, another really cool thing about it, it can fly 25 to 28 minutes on a single charge. A lot of your smaller RC helicopters, even your professional ones, they're only designed to fly for maybe upwards of 10 minutes on a single charge. This thing can stay in the air for quite a long time. Now, one of the things to keep in mind, I had talked about the different models that they have for this thing. When you see one that includes this Zen Moose H3 3D, keep in mind that you cannot use that with the GoPro Hero and the streaming Wi-Fi feature on the GoPro Hero. The reason is they use the same frequencies, so your GoPro streaming Wi-Fi transmission would actually end up interfering with your controller transmission, so you might not be able to control your quadcopter, which obviously would be a bad thing. So if you were trying to go after people that wanted one of these quadcopters and wanted to be able to do streaming video from it so they can have that first-person perspective, so they can basically sit there and fly it on a TV screen and record that video at the same time, you would want to go for one that does not include this controller, and you would actually have to promote a separate transmitter and the whole setup to go along with it. So just once again, make sure you are targeting the proper situation and using the proper product to go along with it. Now the last one that I want to discuss with you before I conclude this class is the Canon Vixia HF R500. This is going to be for your everyday person that is looking for a high quality full HD video camera that they can use for recording their everyday life experiences and special memories and occasions. It has 57 times zoom with special image stabilization, so it actually can take pretty decent video from really far away. Using a 32 gigabyte card, you can record about 2 hours worth of video on one of these at the highest quality. So it's ideal for people that are looking to maybe record an entire wedding or a whole birthday party or something of that nature. For people that are looking for a handheld camera for YouTube creation, perhaps, this thing is also really cool because it has an external mic jack, so you can plug in your own mic if you don't want to use the onboard mic that this thing already has. So once again, this is quality video for those that are on a budget. It's about $300 or so. It also includes, as you can see here, this is a LCD screen that flips out. So this is going to be for your average everyday person, or maybe even for semi-pros looking for a decent digital camcorder that's not going to also break the bank. So once again, make sure you check out the additional material that I've included with this class for information on even more products relating to this niche, but I at least wanted to talk to you about some of these particular highlights here in terms of some of my favorite products in this niche, or what's going to be some of your more popular products for general usages here. So I hope you have picked up something useful from this training today, and thank you for watching.